Hello and welcome to Media Dialogues with Storyboard 18. I'm Delshad Irani and today we're in conversation with Santosh Iyer, Managing Director and CEO of Mercedes-Benz India. I'll be asking Santosh about how his time as Mercedes-Benz India's first ever Indian CEO has been so far, where he sees consumers of luxury vehicles going and the big trends shaping the industry. Hello and welcome to Media Dialogues. Santosh, it's lovely to have you on the show.
Thanks, Delshad, for joining us.
So let me just kick off, Santosh, by asking you, it's been, what, 8 months now since you took over as the first ever Indian MD and CEO of Mercedes-Benz India. Yes. Almost a year since the announcement was made, of course. Tell me, how has the year been for you so far? What were some of the goals that you set for yourself when you took over? And how far along are you in that journey to achieving them?
Well, I think the good part of being in the company for around 14 years now is there is continuity. Continuity not only for me, but for my colleagues as well. So when I got into the role, we have a fantastic team across functions, be it production, finance, sales, across the organization. So I should admit a bit of auto mode, many things running there. But yes, it was also important for us to set a long-term perspective, a mid-term perspective, which we have almost tried to figure out, because India as a market is also very difficult to predict. It's difficult to predict for a year, and looking 3 years or 5 years or 10 years, it becomes more challenging. But our job is to see to that future. And so as I feel operationally, our retail network, our own teams here are well set for the current numbers and what's operational challenges. But my more focus is on developing the brand, more so from a luxury brand perspective. How can we really think and act like a luxury brand? What can we do more to push the boundaries there? And another topic that when I now look from the market perspective, when it comes to customer experience, I think here we have still some room to cover, and what can we do more differently? How can we really set new benchmarks? So that's the core area of focus. First 8 months, can't complain, great feeling, hot seat for sure, a lot of responsibilities as well, a lot of trips to Stuttgart also in this period for multiple reasons. But yeah, this year's we had a fantastic growth, 54% growth in the first half of the year, best ever till now. Hopefully the run continues. We have challenges on different angles, but as of now, the year looks promising.
Right, and that brings me to my next question about the report card. Yeah, as you mentioned, it's been a record year. Your top end vehicles, of course, that's the 1 crore plus sort of bracket, really sort of accelerating growth for the company. Tell me how that piece is playing out for you, and where is the growth coming from?
See, worldwide as well as in India, Mercedes-Benz has clearly focused now as top-end vehicles and customers as one of our core strategic pillar. The reason is simple. Cars are getting electrified, cars are getting more expensive, and for us as a brand, we are much more desirable at the top end. Of course, everybody wants to own a Mercedes-Benz, but because the price being expensive, we have a big set of followers, customers at the top end of the spectrum. We would like to further nurture them. One thing which they need is products and latest products. So we have to continuously launch new cars. This year we have done 6 launches, out of which 4 of them are in the top end vehicle segment. And that says a lot in terms of our strategy, in terms of where the focus is. Growth-wise, if we grew by 17% in H1, 54% was a growth in the top-end vehicle segment. So we can see a significant growth leading the segment, leading the market. And of course, in the top end is also our EVs. We localized the EQS, which is our electric flagship model in India. That's around 1.6 odd crores. Even that sits in the top end. That also contributes to the growth. And so clearly the strategy is to ensure that we push the boundaries on luxury. We ensure it comes top down. And of course, the brand as well as the products flows in that direction.
Absolutely. So let me zoom out a little bit now, Santosh, and talk about the luxury market in India, which is absolutely booming, not just in auto, for instance. Tell me, as a sort of an industry view, what's happening right now in the luxury market? How is the buyer evolving, the Indian buyer? What's happening? What's taking it to stratospheric heights?
Yeah, see,
And give me some numbers. Give me some numbers to put that in perspective.
No, sure. You know, the market, if you look at from absolute numbers, if you look at a percentage of the total passenger vehicle market, it's still 1%. So you can still say that there is a lot of legroom and, you know, a lot of room to grow further compared to many other markets where it's around 10 to 15%. So definitely the growth can be manifold. The growth that we see, as I said, last year to this year, 17-20% double-digit growths, that's coming one because of change in demographics. We have a lot of younger customers who are buying cars, a lot of women buying cars, luxury cars as such, as the first car, and so on and so forth. The other area we see is a lot of corporate, you know, earlier salaried customers used to be much lesser in the luxury segment because of the affordability. But with corporate India earnings and results being so good, we see also a sharp increase. Almost 50% of them now are salaried buyers in getting into the luxury segment, which is also a great news when you look at the overall structure. Apart from this, when I look at macroeconomically, you know, the fantastic roads which have come up, there is a great push on infra, and these roads makes luxury cars also more desirable, because you can not only enjoy these cars on these roads, they are more safer also.
Right.
And therefore, we see a combination of economic changes, infrastructural changes, along with demographic shift of young customers, women customers, and also, as I said, salaried customers, for example, getting in. All this is fueling into the growth of luxury as a category. Again, as you rightly said, not just cars, but when I look at watches, when I look at different categories, apparels, it's much bigger boom there, even compared to automotive luxury cars as such, because the ticket sizes are small, which also means consumers are now getting into the experiencing luxury, maybe with smaller ticket sizes. Apparels are not as expensive, bags and stuff, and it's a matter of time that these customers now take the big ticket purchases, go beyond the rational thinking of you know, going from point A to point B, then saying that I need to spend on myself, I have earned it, it's a reward for me, and they start spending on luxury products and goods, including cars.
Right, right. And there's a sort of a shift in sort of the psychological pattern of the buyer as well. What else are you noticing in terms of sort of the larger sort of macro and micro sort of consumer trends, especially in the way that we see media being consumed? The last 10 years, of course, has pretty much changed everything. The pace of change is increasing. We're seeing that with all sort of technological advances. I mean, something like ChatGPT that we saw right now, the accelerated and the scale and how quickly it scaled.
Yeah.
So much happening. Consumption habits, preferences, everything is sort of appending right now. So any sort of insights that you've gathered on that front that are then, of course, informing your, you know, your portfolio strategies, your business strategies, your brand strategies?
So the advantage we have is we changed our consumer retailing model. We are the only brand to do direct to consumer sales. You know, we have this new D2C model, and which also helps us to get customer connect and data much better. And with this, when we look into this from the demographic changes that I mentioned to you already, when you look at their consumption of media also, it's no longer fixed format consumption. You know, morning I read newspapers. I grew up in the marketing world where you would draw a life cycle journey of a customer saying morning newspaper, then he goes to office, radio, listens to radio, sees the outdoor, evening watching TV, and there used to be a cycle. How can you now?
How simple life.
How simple life.
Yeah.
But that was also, you know, how as a marketeer, now you can be a halo around the customer in all of this. I think those days are gone because the attention span is very less. Consumption of media is more on the go. A lot of content and media, the lines have just blurred. So many a times you don't know, are you consuming advertised content, or it is just content placed there, or it is maybe naturally generated content, but it works on a subliminal basis. In the luxury car segment, I think most of our customers run multi-million-dollar businesses. They have large, and they run marketing departments by themselves. So they understand the space. So doing anything which is superficial, I think doesn't cut across. And therefore, our entire focus, if you see, is more on customer experience. experiences. Today consumers want Instagrammable stories. Did I get an experience which others can't get it? Am I getting an invite for a Michelin star evening dinner, wherein somebody else can't make it, but I am able to make it because I own a Mercedes-Benz? We will be announcing some big partnerships also with certain galleries, certain stuff very shortly, which is again the first shows, the first stuff. You are in the you are there because you own a Mercedes-Benz. We are sitting in this customer experience center which we are inaugurating now. This is a place where not only you can get deliveries, but we are telling our top-end customers that, hey, if you want to host a party or you want to host a business meeting, this is the venue for you. You can do it. Just because you are our customers, you get an access to get your friends into this plant, into this customer experience center, and also see how cars are made, how luxury cars are made, etc. So a lot has gone into experience. As I keep saying, Instagrammable stories, which a customer has to endorse it. So by us doing advertising or just by placing it, the credibility is less and people are able to read through it. So it's better not to go that route, but do real stuff. Maybe we cannot reach the entire customer base, but at least as much as possible, try and build communities, build experiences. That's the way
and
to
build
go.
those communities around these experiences, of
Exactly,
course.
exactly.
Yeah, and people bringing people together.
Yeah.
So since you also spoke about electric vehicles, of course, we're seeing this huge push towards sustainable mobility solutions, and we're seeing it. Your peers are sort of accelerating their strategies, dialing up launches. How different is the, say, the luxury EV buyer versus sort of, in other passenger vehicles? I mean, do you notice any differences there, or is that consciousness something that is more democratic in nature?
In luxury space also, you have the first time buyers who want to be in an electric, because it's also the green number plate, right? Because that also gives a different message.
It's a signal.
So it's a signal. So today maybe you have a Mercedes-Benz, you have the S-Class Maybach there, or an AMG, you are seen differently, but you have an EQS with a green number. It's a different statement that you make, not only that you are able to spend on luxury, but you are doing it responsibly. Now coming, the bigger concern for our top-end customers are mostly to do with range. How will I have to go to a public charging station, because there they are not fully convinced with the public infrastructure. And a lot of work that we are doing is to take away that anxiety. So we said that we can wait for the public infrastructure to come up, or we create our own. So we today have one of the highest fast charging network in the country. We are also opening it up to other brands, because that was a big discussion. First we thought we will only keep it for Mercedes-Benz customers exclusive, but then if as a brand we invented the cars, we continue to invent it, and we said if we don't do this of driving electrification, then we are not responsible enough also. So we said let's open up our chargers across brands, and this is a big statement that we make now, that this entire charging network including the app is available for all electric customers. So we are, as leaders, we want to accelerate the market to start with. However, also when you look at our strategy, we have a car at 1.6 crores, then we have a SUV at 80 lakhs. We don't have any entry level cars on the EV side again. And the reason is simple, that we want to focus on the top end customers, their access to charging, because they have an office. They can put a charger in office or at home, both, and many of them stay in independent houses. Right. Putting up a charger is easier. So we understand that, and we again feel even electrification will flow much more top down with the high-end cars, and then slowly we also will come with more and more models. The vision is next 4 years, 25% of our volume should come from electric.
Wow, 25%.
Yeah.
Speaking now about the time that we are sort of getting into, which is the grand festive quarter in India, what are your plans for that in terms of even just your marketing activities, campaigns, but also what's your outlook? What's your outlook for what we like to call the golden quarter or the fifth quarter? Yeah. What's your outlook?
In the past, festive campaigns used to be about discounts, a lot, because customers are looking for it, etc. Now the fundamental change is, even if there is a Diwali in November 11th odd, customers are already booking the cars now, because they know that it takes 2 months once you book a car to get the car. So the good part is many of them are preponing. They are all booking the car. Of course, deliveries will happen during the festive period. But what we we are doing as a brand is, we said, how do we make it more memorable? So we have actually discussed with MS Dhoni, and we are coming out with a campaign where the customers who buy during this period, they get of course we cannot take all of them, but at least 50 to 100 of them, we take them to the Himalayas, exclusive evening, conversing with Dhoni on cars, cricket and more. And so it's again about experiences, right? That
Yeah,
what can
like you
we give,
mentioned,
or
yeah.
how can we make it different a bit, and that's something that we are just started. This campaign is just going live now, and so that's again an example of moving away from traditional discount-led sales to more experience-led sales, and trying to see. Of course, we have excellent finance offers. I think one of my firm belief is India, the more consumers will shift to luxury because of low EMIs. Today, to buy a luxury car, a lot of people feel still it's a leap of faith, right? To pay 30 lakhs, 40 lakhs down payment, which is almost the price of 2 mass market cars. So today we are saying at a very low down payment like 10 lakhs, just pay 60,000 rupees a month and you can get into the luxury segment. So with our financial services, we have a subsidiary called Mercedes-Benz Financial. It's a non-banking financial company. They have come up with absolutely fantastic offers. We call it Agility Plus, and this is where the big growth we want to take in the festive period. Our outlook is we should continue the double-digit growth that we had in the year. We have some challenges when it comes to the supply side, our production side, but these are, I think my colleagues are doing their best to overcome, and we should end this as one of another best ever year.
I mean, that would be a brilliant thing, right? After the early run that you've had this year. Santosh, let me just sort of like take a little bit of a personal question now, personal and professional, because you've, of course, you know, before your current role, you served in sales and marketing as the head for Mercedes-Benz India. So you've sort of, you know, you've been a marketeer, and you're part of a very exclusive club of marketers turned CEOs. Tell me how that journey has been for you, and your experience doing those roles and leading those functions. How has that sort of perhaps given you maybe a greater appreciation for it now that you are in, like you mentioned, the hot seat? I mean, what are some of the learnings that you perhaps
my cardinal
made?
principle, even when I was in marketing, was and that marketing actually gave me a very razor sharp customer view. Everything on customer insights, what does the customer want, how do we develop things for that. And then I had a big shift to customer services, to after sales business. I did that for 3 years in this company, wherein I was responsible for all the workshops in India, spare parts, and all the technical service, after sales service, post sales service. So a lot of people asked me, how are you going to do this transition? And I said, my fundamentals remain the same. I will see what the customer needs. So we made a lot of changes in service business. For example, we came up with express service. In 3 hours, you get your car serviced. Or we came up with democratizing parts. So we started giving parts via to apart from our authorized dealers, we also give parts outside our network. So we democratized spare part availability. A lot to do with things on service packages, because customers said owning a luxury car is expensive, also maintaining. So we said, what can we do? So I think my success mantra is, as long as you are following what the customer needs and you adapt strategies, it's fine. And then when I came back to sales and marketing, I had a full view. I had a marketing view, I had a customer services view, and then to do sales was much more easier, because you are looking at the pre-sales experience and the post-sales experience, and then core sales. And I think when you gel all of this in, you can create a more better brand, a much more better customer experience brand for, also, and more so in the luxury space, because we have 170,000 customers in India. So on one side you can say, wow, a lot of customers, but it's a close-knit community. Many of them know each other, with families, with friends. And if the brand is not credible, if we are not, and problems come, let's accept, we are making cars, engineered, so some issues. The way we resolve it, the way the accessibility is there for the customer makes a hell of a lot of difference in this segment. So I think for me, marketing really helped me to get the customer view much more clearer, and then everything else is, for me, is more immaterial. And this is the obsession, I would say, the customer obsession that I am still driving in the organization, to say, whatever we do, let's come from that red hot seat. Let's imagine the customer is sitting there and then take our decisions, be it product, be it marketing, be it sales or experience, even planning production topics, because many of them have booked the car today for expecting they will get the car during Ganesh Chaturthi and Diwali.
Right.
Now we have challenges. Customers won't understand those challenges. So with my production colleague, we are absolutely clear that the problem is ours. We need to solve it, get the car on time for the festive delivery, else it will be unforgiving. So I think marketeers have this unique ability because they are groomed to come from the customer view much more than sales and many other functions. So
right.
my advice would be to follow that instinct, and I think the corner office is no different.
Not an ivory tower for you, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Just a quick question on what you're seeing, especially with some of your peers in the luxury auto space. Any sort of learnings from your competition and how they have been sort of navigating the luxury market here, and of course with the inclusion of EVs?
No, I think all of them have been doing a good job in terms of growing the market. As I said, as we are focused on top end of the market, many of them are also focused on the entry segment of the market. So they are also doing a great job in getting more customers with lower price points into the luxury car segment. And of course, that's a very good thing, because then these customers will slowly upgrade from premium to luxury over a period of time. So each one has their own strategy. I think even on electrification, they all are placing the bets. We were the first to localize. I think we are the only ones, apart from one odd brand, which has localized an electric car to be made in India. But it's a matter of time. I keep saying this, that electrification is alone not the answer for sustainability. When you look at sustainability, it's a much bigger topic, because electrification only solves tailpipe emission. What do you do with your suppliers? What do you do with our dealer retail? So we are also committed that 1/3 of our retail network by end of this year will be on alternative energy as an option. We will transform our dealer network to use sustainable power, and also our idea is to go net zero. Carbon neutrality coming from the car, using recycled materials, ensuring the car can be recycled. So if you take that view, electrification is just one step wherein you are taking care of tailpipe emissions, and then of course you have to work on all the other elements. And here I am proud to say we lead across. This plant in Pune is run by 100% renewable power already as such. And so we are working fast. Worldwide, the ambition is we become a carbon neutral company by 2039. Of course,
and on track for that?
We are on track. In fact, by 2030, a big amount would be achieved. The last 20% is the bigger challenge. The first 80, we still are accelerating towards that much faster. And I'm proud to say, as a company, we are on track.
I mean, that's a great note to end our conversation on, right? Drawing that parallel. Thank you so much for your time, Santosh. It was lovely chatting with you, like always.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming over. Thank you.
Thank you.